Hello, Carolina agents. This is Marti Hampton, and I am so honored to introduce you to two people that have really changed our industry, not only nationally, but internationally. And it takes a lot to impress me. I've been around real estate for a long time, but I want to tell you about both of these trendsetters. Kyle Whissel is a co-founder of Fast Forward Movement, leading more than 11,000 agents worldwide, and his team had sales around 600 million in 2024 and was the top team with our company. And now he's got a new partnership. Perhaps he'll tell us about that. Mike Sherrard is the #1 personal attractor in eXp history and founder of the Wolfpack. And no, he's not going to North Carolina State University. It's Wolfpack. It's a different thing. We need to talk to you about that, Mike. But he's got the fastest growing group at eXp globally, and he's also built one of the biggest agent followings online, thousands to scale 6- and 7-figure businesses. So we can learn a lot from both of these gentlemen. They lead two of the most powerful communities at eXp. And today you're going to hear about those communities and what they actually are, why they matter, why joining under the right group at eXp actually matters to you, and how it can actually move your business forward. There's so many tracks that you can take in real estate these days, but what really works is what counts. So be sure to stay to the end because I've got an incredible giveaway at the end today. But right now I want to get started, and I want to start with Kyle. Kyle, I know a little bit of your history. I know you were in real estate. Your father was in real estate. You were a very successful independent company. And then you ran across eXp, and I wondered, why did you join this group? Did you do it fast? What brought you to eXp?
Yeah, so when I jumped in the business, I was 20 years old. I was still in college, and my dad kept telling me, "You need to buy something, you need to buy something." I said, "Dad, I scoop popcorn at a movie theater." He said, "If you can fog this mirror, they will give you a loan." And so I fogged a mirror, and they gave me a loan for $500,000 while I was scooping popcorn at a movie theater because we claimed I was like a manager there. I sold that property. I made $17,000 in 3 months on it, and I was hooked on real estate at that point. So I worked with him primarily on the commercial side, mostly doing multifamily deals for the first 5 or 6 years. And he was the broker. I got sick of working with my dad, love him to death, but didn't want to work with my dad anymore. Decided I want to branch out and do my own thing. I fell in love with the consistency of residential versus commercial. Commercial was big checks, but it was getting like a check every month or two. Where, now that I'm in residential, I'm getting like a check or two every day, which is way more cool. And so I jumped out to the residential side. And when I was with my dad, he was the broker. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not with my dad anymore. I'm going to be the broker because I never saw alignment between like what I pay versus what I get with most brokerages. I felt like I pay all this money and I get very little that I actually need out of them. So many of them would like hang their hat on their brand and their tech and their tools, but the reality is like I'm the brand. It doesn't matter who my brokerage is. I'm the brand at the end of the day. So I don't care if there's a balloon behind me or a gold jacket on me or any of that. None of that stuff matters. I'm always going to be the brand. I've always recognized that. So the brand never appealed to me. And then the tech that most brokerages provide, for the things that I have ambitions of doing, the tech was never going to be a good solution. So it was like, why am I going to pay all this money when I get this very little in return? So I ran my own brokerage, and I ran that up until 2018. And part of running your own brokerage is there's always like, you see this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's why you run an independent brokerage. You want the ability to sell this thing someday. And it got to the point where I started getting approached by big companies. I had Coldwell Banker come to me, Better Homes and Gardens, ERA. I had a local company come to me to talk about doing an M&A deal. And I was like, this is awesome. It's happening. The pot of gold is here. And when I went through the whole valuation process, I realized that this brokerage that I was hoping would be worth $10 million was only worth $1 million at the time. And at that point, I was like, screw this. Like, there is no point dealing with all these headaches, all this stress for nothing, right? If that pot of gold's not really there, why am I doing this? What's funny is I just got a letter today from some government entity, and it's great. The broker's like, hey, we're sending this to our legal counsel. and just tell us your side of it. We got you. Like, that's freaking amazing, right? But when I was the broker, that was me that had to deal with that. So I decided, like, I don't want to be the broker anymore because now I got to deal with this crap. So I started to look around at like what were the options that were out there. And the two big players at that time, Compass was big, specifically here in Southern California, because they were looking to grow. And then I had started seeing some people that really mattered, people that I look up to, move to eXp at the same time. So I met with Compass. They made an offer. They were willing to give us, north of $1 million to come over there. But what I realized is like I'm going to get a bunch of money up front, and then over time I'm going to pay it all back, and then so there's going to be this like diminishing return over time. And then when I looked into the EXP model and I saw these people that went over there, I was like, wait, I only have to pay this, but then I'm going to get all of that, which was more than just a brand in tech. It was this opportunity to earn stock in the company. It was the ability to help this company grow and mentor people and earn revenue share in the company. So I saw this opportunity where I'm paying this, now I'm getting that. We're inverted from what I'd seen. And so then I had to decide, like, do I do Compass or EXP? Do I take money now knowing it's going to fade? Or do I bet on myself and not take money up front, but bet on myself that I can make this thing grow over time? And obviously I made the bet on EXP, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That's fantastic. I love the bet on yourself. I adhere to that as well. And Mike, you're totally different. You were a classically trained engineer to go to a top producer, which I think is the feat in itself. And then from a top producer, you became a worldwide attractor. Why did you go to eXp in the first place?
Yeah. Well, I'm not as cool as Kyle, so my story is going to be a little bit shorter. But yeah, I quit engineering because I just realized, this is probably a young, um, you know, a young way to look at it. But when I looked around the parking lot of my engineering firm, not even the general manager had the lifestyle that I was looking for. And so I thought, if the top of the ladder doesn't have what I'm looking for, why bother climbing it? And so I got into real estate. And while I was an engineer, I was listening to all of these other realtors on YouTube because I was trying to be a sponge and learn as much as I humanly could. And when I got into real estate, very similar story to many people, I had no money and I was new to this city. And so what do you do with no money and you don't know anybody, so you have no sphere? You have to do what's free and you have to get after it. And so I'll never forget it. It was -10. It was February of 2017 and it was snowing. And I went out and door knocked for 3 hours until I couldn't feel my hands. And I got 2 listings at 700,000 a piece. And so I door knocked every day for 3 hours for my first 6 months, 7 days a week, rain, snow, didn't matter, because it was free. But it gave me an opportunity to get in front of people because it's all about having real estate conversations. What is also free is social media. And I was the most anti-social media person. All these Facebook memories come up of like what you said 15 years ago, and it's me like shitting on social media, and now here I am. But it's like you have no choice. Like I could either be broke or do what makes me uncomfortable. Like that was the alternatives. And so I also, aside from door knocking every day, I posted once a day on Instagram for my first 1,000 days as a real estate agent. Um, and so what happened is I started, about a year into it, I did really well, became one of the top producers in my past brokerage. But I started thinking, well, if I was listening to other people on YouTube of what was working for them, maybe people want to hear what's been working for me. And so I shared my Facebook ad that was getting leads at 17 cents a lead back in 2017. I shared my Instagram strategies and I shared my door knocking strategies. Well, lo and behold, nobody wanted to learn about door knocking because it sucks, even though it's hyper effective. They all wanted to learn more about the social media strategies that were working for me. It wasn't like some people where they buy a course and they regurgitate what they've learned. This was actually putting deals in my pipeline. And I shared it and people asked for more and more and more. And Kyle said the most pivotal word, which is brand. And as I started to put out more content of what was working for me, more people started to take notice of it. And I started having agents reaching out to me from different provinces, different states, different countries saying like, how do I work with you? And for me, the whole goal is to get time back, not trade more time for more money. And so I realized I kind of had a parting of the two C's. I either A, become a coach and work one-on-one, but that requires more time, or B, I start to explore different alternatives. Now, like many people, I turned a blind eye to eXp for many, many years. And when my current sponsor reached out to me, I told him, please never bring this up ever again. I'm never joining. I never want to talk about it. Because I had a great relationship with my past broker. He's still one of my best friends. And he said, no problem. Let's do some content together. He had a way bigger audience than me at the time. I said, sure. And after about 6 months of him never trying to recruit me, I started to think to myself, if he's over there and we think so similarly, but I'm not over there, maybe I didn't hear about it the right way the first 2 times. And so I started to look and say, okay, I'm building this brand. I'm turning down all these opportunities because as you build a brand, which in real estate is the most important thing, you are your brand. What am I leaving on the table by not exploring a way to amplify it? And so I said, all right, dude, lay it on me. And we sat there for 3 hours and he did. And I joined the next day, put in my 90-day LOI. So for me, it was about creating massive leverage of your business. As Kyle alluded to, being able to create a sustainable long-term strategy where every year what you put into your business compounds year over year. Being able to provide a willable asset for a future family that one day I hope to have. And working with people that are like-minded. That was the big thing for me. And transparently, not everybody in your own market is going to be the most like-minded for you. And I found all these cool people from different areas that were just like me. There was no other opportunity to collaborate. And so lo and behold, we joined here in 2020 and it's been a pretty life-changing journey.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, you both impacted so many people's lives, and I want to hear more about that. I want you to impact our life here in North Carolina. But I want to know about people that you introduced to eXp and some of the success stories that you've seen your people through your Wolfpack create. Tell me about those, Mike.
Yeah, well, one of the best ones is a guy named Suman Kim out of Austin. And Suman was like most agents. He just moved to Austin, didn't know anybody, never been in real estate, had no sphere. And so he interviewed 22 different local brokerages. And he's like, what are you going to do to help me? Because Suman is a very intelligent man. And so he says, what are you going to do? And all of them said, leverage your sphere, build your sphere by getting out there and doing your calls. And that's it. That's all. And all 22 said the exact same thing. And then he had a call with me, some random guy from Canada in a city nobody knows exists. And I said, listen, do you want to do it a different way? And he's like, yeah, I'm open to hearing about it. I'm like, you've got a very relatable story. You moved from California to Austin. We're in the pandemic. Everybody's moving from California to Austin. Let's share your story because other people are going to be able to connect with it. And he said, okay. He called me back a week later, said, Mike, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to join you as somebody he's never met in a different country doing a strategy he's never tried in his life. He's never put a video out. 12 months later, he did 87 deals, 1.2 million in commission. And in his second year, he did $100 million as a solo agent entirely from YouTube with no prospecting, no sphere, no ads. And so that was just a very relatable story of agents saying, hey, I know everything works, right? Cold calling, door knock, everything works if you're willing to do the work to make it work. But some people wanted to do it differently. And when you have a relatable story, it allows you to connect with people on an emotional level. And I provided them that solution to say, hey, we can do this a bit differently. I'll help you build a sphere. And now Suman wins multiple awards every single month. In his market center. And I think the only other cool story, which is much shorter, because I'm sure Kyle has a ton more, is Josh Smith. When I was studying as an engineer, the number one guy that I was listening to was Joshua Smith, and he became my coach to help me break 6 figures in my first year. 7 years later, I've never mentioned eXp ever to Josh. I think I'm the only one that never brought it up to him that's in his inner circle. And he called me up last May and said, hey, I want to have a conversation. It's about eXp. And I got on the phone. I'm like, why are you reaching out to me? He's like, I've seen what you've done. And that was a really pivotal thing for me. And I'm sure Kyle can attest to this. Many people are curious, but they want to see, is it actually going to work out? You're telling them how good it is. You're talking about how life-changing it is. But if you don't go change your own life, how are they going to believe that it's actually life-changing? And so a lot of people that have joined me that have gone on to become my rock stars sat on the sidelines in silence, and they just watched to see, is he or she going to actually do what they say they're going to do? And when you do, I always tell people, if you want to attract, just become attractive. And becoming attractive is not your physical appearance. It's not your gender, race, ethnicity, age, any of that. It's your energy. Are you showing up with excitement? Are you providing value? Are you leading by example? Are you doing what you say you do? Like, that's how you become attractive. And so for me, my entire goal was just, how can I become as attractive as possible to as many people as possible that want to do it a little bit differently? And I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. That's completely okay. You'll find somebody at this company or in our group that is. That's the beautiful part. We're all owners. We all win. I just wanted to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I tell my agents all the time, you've got to bring the juice. You've got to bring the energy to create. So, Kyle, you've created Fast Forward Movement. I know it's helped a lot of people. It's helped me and my team. Tell us about who this works for. Who's worked the best out of the people that
Yeah.
started?
I mean, the best is the guy who's kicking our ass this year, Parker Pemberton. So he came over. We were friends from the Tom Ferry Network. And when he came over, they were doing about 40 million a year as a smaller team of about 10. And I think last month they closed 92 million. Last month,
Wow.
92 million, on track to do over $1 billion this year. So it doesn't get much more meteoric than that. And Parker's just the kind of guy that's just fully plugged in. He's at all of the events. He's on all of the masterminds. He's asking questions. And then more importantly than anything, he's just implementing. The thing that I've learned over the course of my career is like the speed to implementation is one of the biggest differentiators between like the average agent and the top agent, right? The top agents, they implement things and they implement them quickly. They don't sit on them for days or weeks or months. They implement quickly. And then when they do implement, they implement 100%. They don't just like, well, I know Mike said to do it this way. Like, I like that part, but I'm going to do it my own way. Like, one of our core values is run the play. Like, just run the freaking play. Don't deviate from it. Like, this works. And honestly, if you don't believe it works, you probably shouldn't be here. So if you believe that it works, just run the play. And Parker's a perfect example of somebody who's running the play and running it at a ridiculously high level. I mean, 92 million in a month is pretty wild.
Amazing. That's amazing. Now, as far as he was in real estate when,
Yeah.
and so as far as new agents into the business, and I think, Mike, you talked about somebody that I think you brought in, the guy that did, the first person you talked about was never in real estate. He interviewed 22 people and then he got into real estate and he did phenomenal his first year. Have you seen many people do that? What percentage achieves that? Mike?
Oh, me. Well, Kyle said something perfect, which is, for me, everything comes down to our core values, right? Just to name a few of them: delayed gratification, right? Consistency, discipline, focusing on one thing at a time. Um, I don't have an exact number, because at the end of the day, if you follow and embrace high core values, it's almost impossible not to succeed. But the problem is that people don't want to do the difficult things that it actually takes to go build your business. And so one of the things that I would say for agents that are struggling is, like, volume negates luck. And so for any agent that's struggling, I would say, listen, if you take how many homes in your MLS sold in the last 30 days, and you divide that by how many homes you can knock every hour, and you go door knock for 10 hours a day, every single day for the next 30 days, it's statistically impossible for you not to get a deal. The problem is
Right,
you're not willing to do the work. And
right.
so for me, I've never met an agent that is a master at many things. They pick one thing that becomes their bread and butter. It might be calling, knocking, social, whatever. They do well at other things after they've built momentum, but they do incredible at one thing, because one thing gives you the ability to focus and execute on it every single day. But I think expectation management is huge. Any agent that I've seen says, I'm going to try this strategy that Kyle shared with me, this script. And if I don't get a client this month, then I'm going to go on to TikTok. That's not the solution. You have to be able to commit to something forever until it works out, right? Any successful agent that I've ever seen says, I'm going to try this strategy, number one, that's been proven by other people. So success leaves clues. If one man or woman can do it, so can you. And I'm going to do it until it works out, not, within this short time frame, because that is just, it constantly leads to disappointment. because people give them this condensed time frame that they fictitiously pulled out of thin air, and they say, if I don't do it by then it's not working for me, right? But it's not just what you do, it's how you do it, right? And that's one thing that I'll leave people with on that question is, going back to my door knocking days, you can go for volume and say that I'm just going to knock a door. If I don't get an answer, if I get a no, I'm off the doorstep, I'm on to the next one. But my mentality is I'm not going to leave that doorstep until I've exhausted every possible objection handler to at least get their contact information, until they basically slam the door and say, I'm out of here. Well, those are two different ways to approach door knocking. Mine was not how many doors could I knock per day, it's how many people's contact information could I get a day. Two different outcomes, radically different results. And so if you're going to do something, be very mindful of doing it at the highest level possible, not just doing it because some coach said you should go do it. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well, right? So do it all the way and fully commit to it. Because a lot of people are just going through the motions. And if you go through the motions, you're leaving a lot on the table.
You are. I've always taught people, I said, don't count the number of dials that you do, because people do a big amount of dials. Count the number of actual conversations that you've had with somebody. That's more impactful. So I know at eXp, the brokerage gives you the platform, but your groups, both Fast Forward and Wolfpack, is the training camp. It's where you get the coaches, the playbooks, the systems, and the support that you're going to need when you start as a new agent, or if you go as an experienced agent, to build. So you get twice the coaching with both of you guys. I know I'm going to be with you soon in Miami, but tell me a little bit, Kyle, break it down for us. What exactly does Fast Forward program entail? What are its strengths?
For sure. So we started out Fast Forward with like 5 of us sitting around a table at Panera Bread. That was our first mastermind that we ever hosted. And over time, we've just continued to grow and grow and grow the masterminds, where we have, I think there's either 9 or 10 different masterminds that we have. Because the big thing is the group has grown. What might work for Parker Pemberton selling 92 million a month is not working for the agent who just got licensed last month. So we've really started to segment out the different masterminds that we have. So we have a mastermind that's specifically made for new agents. It's an 8-week-long program that gets them ramped up and gets them into production. Then we have a mastermind specifically for solo agents. We have one for people doing over 15 million. We have one for people doing over 50 million. We have one for ladies. We have one for Spanish speakers. We have one for revenue share. We have one for people focused on AI. And then we have a general mastermind that's for everybody. And so just over time, as the group has grown, I think we're around 12,000 right now. We've tried to make sure that we have a mastermind that's for everybody in the group, wherever they're at. Because a big thing in sales in general is just meeting people where they're at. And so we try to do that within our group at eXp. But the same thing you do with clients is you got to meet your client where they're at too. And when you meet your client where you're at, guess what? You sell more properties. Well, when you can meet agents where they're at, same thing happens.
Do you find that out of the people that you work with, that they want to be a team leader? Do you find a lot of single agents that want to be a team leader, and what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, this is something, the partnership that Dan Beer and I just did in merging our companies, is we have this belief that there's a lot of people right now that are hitting a ceiling, and they think the only way to break through to that next level is to start a team. And I don't think that is the solution for a lot of people. For some people, it is. For me, it absolutely is. I get a huge high. Cody's out here. This guy was my assistant for 2 years, and now he's one of the top 5 agents in my company. Every time he sells a house, I get so freaking excited for him, because winning on your own is cool, but winning with your friends is way more cool. And so I love to win with Cody. Like, I get a massive high off of that. That is so fun for me. But some people aren't built that way. That's not for them. And so they feel this pressure to go start a team. And before you know it, they got like 10 or 15 people on their team. They've got massive payroll. They've got all these contracts with all these different vendors. They're making less money than they were when they were solo. They're working more hours, and they're not happy. They're not having fun anymore. And I believe that people thought that was the way, but that's not necessarily the way. I've got 3 people in my company who have done over $1 million in GCI on my team. I got one who did $100 million, did over 2 million GCI on our team. Like
Wow.
you don't necessarily need to go start a team to get to those levels. You can do that within a team. And so we believe that there's a lot of people who have felt this unnecessary pressure to go start a team that are not happy anymore. We want to bring them back to happiness. And so part of Whissel Beer Group is we are focused primarily in San Diego right now as we merge everything together. But then we will expand across Southern California, Northern California, and then and out from there, is to provide a place for those people that have started a team and aren't happy anymore and they want to get back to happiness. And now they can come back and they can produce on our platform and we'll show them the path to do $1 million.
Right.
And we'll take on all of their agents, we'll take on all of their contracts and get rid of all that stress and headache that they added unnecessarily. And we'll manage all of that stuff for them. And they can still make a little piece off of that business too. So the team they built is not a waste, right? They'll still make some revenue off of that, but they'll go back to producing and doing what they did at a high level. But now when they do it on our platform, they're going to do it at a way higher level than they've ever imagined before, and they'll get back to happy.
That is very cool. I've always said the top producers in any team actually probably make more than the team leader does many times. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about the training and the systems and everything that you've set up in Wolfpack.
Yeah, definitely. The mentality of the wolf pack is, you know, many people always historically say that they feel like a lone wolf in business. And so we wanted to kind of create a pack where you don't feel like you're alone. So we focus very heavily, especially being at a cloud-based brokerage, on being able to create an intimate culture across borders, which is a very difficult thing to do. But similar to what Kyle alluded to, like we focus very heavily on meeting people where we're at, where they're at in their businesses, where we have different masterminds every week on, you know, again, we've got our women's only group, we have agent attraction strategies, we have social media only calls, AI only calls, production focus calls, and, you know, different things that people can tap into based on where they're at. But our group is really focused on building the modern way. So a lot of the agents in our group are building through social media, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And we have a lot of people doing some pretty wild stuff when it comes to artificial intelligence now as well. And so we've got a lot of people that are you know, wanting to attract. And that's been kind of the cool part about eXp, is that you attract the type of person that you are. And like, I'm like Kyle, like I don't go out there, I'm not recruiting, I'm not messaging people all the time. People want to join us because they want to do it the way that we're doing it. And so for me, being a creator, we have a lot of other creators or people that want to be creators to do business this way. And that's, you know, what we've been able to create is, you know, have helped people do far more than $1 billion in sales now from social media in the last 3 years. And so it's been pretty life-changing for people from 18-year-olds to the oldest is 78 years old, breaking 6 figures from commission with their little YouTube channel. And it's been pretty rewarding to see what it's done for all ages, all styles, and all types of people.
That is amazing. What's the next mountain you're going to climb? What's your next mountain?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So for me, we're going through difficult times. And I think it's you know, pretty safe to say a lot of people are having some of the worst years of their life. For me, the majority of our agents are having the best year they've ever had in their career. And there's kind of this parting of the Red Sea that I see, is that you've got 74% of agents that haven't closed a deal yet in 2025. And then you've got this other pocket of people that are absolutely crushing it. And so the mountain that I've always had is I want to help 1,000 people make $1 million. And that's always been my goal since I got started here at eXp. And every year I've got my little wall of fame, and I keep adding a beautiful new headshot to that wall of fame. And so, like Kyle alluded to, I think this is one of the most rewarding things. Is I reached a point in my business where I grew pretty quick, and I was going on all these cool trips and these great experiences by myself, and maybe with a significant other. And you think, it's kind of cool for the first couple of times until it's not. And that's where I started saying, how many of my friends can I bring across the finish line so that we're all going on these trips together? We're all going on these experiences. We're all making our lives and dreams and goals happen. And that's been my goal every single year. So it's just, how many people can I help achieve that lifestyle that they've always dreamed of through this life-changing opportunity?
That is a big part of it. I've always said the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat is best shared, right? So, Kyle, I know your next mountain's got to do with your expansion. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I mentioned one of the big parts of the merger was to provide a home for the team leaders that want to get back to being happy again. But another big part of the merger is to really lock in on all the ancillary services that are a part of a real estate transaction. I mean, I've heard all kinds of different numbers, but there's dozens of different people that are getting paid every time a real estate transaction happens. And some of them are getting paid more than we are as real estate agents. So we have a big goal to really tap in and build the right partnerships with these different ancillary services. So whether that be mortgage or title or, all the different things like that that are part of it. So really finding the right people to partner with on those different services. And so that we can provide the service that we know the agents need, not what these companies think the agents need, but we know what the agents need. And so being able to build these ancillary services to provide additional revenue streams, but also provide a level of service that the agents truly need. So it's a huge part of the merger for us is to really tap into all of that and make it a big focus for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you're going to be doing a full day of training in Miami, so I'm looking
Oh
forward to
yeah. And we're
But
going to be partying with Wyclef Jean, so we're going to do that too.
that's very cool. So let's talk about the future of the industry. What you guys are going to see it for the next, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years? I don't know. What's your out date? Is there a date you say, I'm never going to do this again? I'm not going to work past this age. Mike, you said you got somebody 78 that's done something incredible. They've never reached that height before. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been really cool to see, these, people. We've got a lot of, people over 50 and a lot of people that are introverts that are doing, I've got a guy, he's over 50 and massively introverted, and he has a YouTube channel with under 200 subscribers, and he averages 100,000 a month in commission
Oh my
with no
goodness.
audience, no brand. He just does it the right way. Because again, it goes back to what you're doing. And yeah, it's incredibly rewarding to see what people have done that always counted themselves out because of their perspective, right?
Mhm.
And when you can show them a different way that, your uniqueness, your age, or your tonality, or English isn't your first language, so your accent is your superpower, it radically changes how they approach something. But they need somebody to help them understand that they can actually do it.
Very cool. Tell me what you think that the industry is going to change. How is AI going to change our industry in the next 5, 10 years?
So, in my opinion, you can slice and dice this in a million different ways. There's two critical things that I'm going to say that I'm pretty confident are going to be the facts.
Mhm.
The first is what Kyle already alluded to in the beginning, is that your brand is going to matter more than ever. And this is actually the first time in history that I've ever followed a ton of big entrepreneurs outside of real estate, and 100% of them are saying the exact same thing. If you look at people like Alex Hermosi, if you look at people like Gary Vee, if you look at people like Dan Martell, all three of them are saying that the way to thrive during the disruption of AI is to build a personal brand. So that instead of in the future, like my parents are in their 60s, they're planning a trip to Italy. They use ChatGPT to plan their entire trip. Like, people think this is just young people. These are my technologically challenged parents that are terrible with the tech, and they use it to just plan their 2 week trip. And so this is happening right now. And what you need to do is realize that brand is everything. And you want people to think, when I think, real estate, I don't go to ChatGPT, I don't go to Google, I don't go to Gemini, I call Kyle Whissel. Like, I call the person that's top of mind 24/7 because he or she knows the answers. You don't even think to waste time on technology. You call the brand that you know. And so branding is going to be more important than it's ever been. And the most incredible part is the quickest, easiest way to build brand is free. It's content. And in the past, like, obviously, if you're, a big team like Kyle and you've got the billboards and the big physical marketing, that amplifies it on steroids. But we're in an era where the first time ever, the the marketing strategies are free for anyone, even if you're broke, right? So
Mhm.
it gives you such a unique advantage. Whereas, pre 2000, if you didn't have money to advertise, what are you doing, right? You're knocking, you're calling. And so, Kyle, did you want to say something on top of that, or?
No, I was just going to be, it was loud in
Okay.
here for a
Sorry.
minute. It's
Yeah.
finished the training.
So for me, brand is everything. You have to focus on building your brand and becoming top of mind. And the second is, I personally believe that the agents that capitalize on AI are going to have a massive unfair competitive advantage when you start looking at the data, right? Like, I'm not the type of person, and I hate when people say this, like, you tell people to put out YouTube videos because you're on YouTube. I'm like, I got on YouTube because it scaled my production. Like, I'm doing this because it works. I'm not telling you to do it because I'm on the platform, right? The same goes with AI, right? If you look at stats, the average stats are 3 times more leads, 80% less time to create content, 10 plus hours a week saved, 100%, or rather 100 times more likely to contact an online lead. So when you look at online lead generation, the average contact rate is about 1 to 2%. If you're doing it manually, the average contact rate when it comes to AI is 20%. That's an astronomical difference. And so, as Kyle alluded to earlier, the name of the game is leverage. And so many people think that AI is taking, the human touch away. That is the worst perspective to ever have. AI is automating all the BS agents hate doing to spend more time building relationships and authentic connections. So all that it's doing is freeing up all the time-sucking, expensive things you used to have to pay thousands for or that you hated doing to free up time to do what you love, right? And people don't seem to quite get that. They think this technology is just going to replace us. It amplifies you. And that's the beautiful part about it. So I think agents that capitalize on it are going to be able to work at a capacity that nobody else has. It levels the playing field. So now people, for example, on YouTube, I have people that are starting brand new channels that are outperforming people that have been doing it for 5 years because they have data in seconds that used to take weeks and months to gather. And I think you need to build a personal brand because that's going to be the sure way that you future pace your business.
Fantastic. Kyle, how do you coach your agents to begin with AI? I mean, what do you tell them to do?
Just tune into Mike's YouTube channel. That's it.
That's pretty
I mean,
good.
I'll echo some of the things that he said, right? The brand is 100% vital today. I mean, we get so many deals of people that just call directly and we don't compete. They just call, they know like you're the guy, you're the girl, right? That crushes in this area. And those are the best calls because it's the least competition and they'll pay the most money. They don't argue, they don't fight you on price, they don't fight you on commission. They're just happy to work with you. Sometimes they're even honored, like, will you actually work with me? Like they feel like they're meeting a celebrity, which is the craziest thing. But at the end of the day, honestly, here's the secret: work works. Work works. So if you put work into YouTube, YouTube absolutely will work. If you put work into, like Mike did when he was new, into door knocking, that worked too. Work works. I think the problem that most agents have is they're not willing to put the work in. And they just, dip their toes in the water, like, oh, it's cold, I'm gonna get out. And then they don't fully dive in. But if you fully dive in and you put the work in and you just pick a clear path, work works. In all markets, no matter what age you are, just pick your lane and just put the freaking work in and it'll work. So if you want to dive into AI, like put the work in. Don't just assume that it's going to get done for you. Like actually put the work in. There's some company that's Force IVs that's retargeting me like crazy. They just say, like, what if you just spent 15 minutes a day on it? Like, what if you actually put the work in and committed 15 minutes every day into, like, let's just explore this one new tool. What can I do with this one tool? And just 15 minutes a day, do you realize like how far ahead of everybody you are after just, 90 days? You're light years ahead of everybody else because you put the work into learning it. But I think so many people, they don't want to put that work in and they're never going to be able to get ahead. So at the end of the day, my message to everybody is just work works. Whatever you're doing, put the work in and it will work.
I think that's so true. Listen, hang on for this giveaway because it's the biggest one I've ever done. So I want you to hang on to the end. We've
I heard
talked
she's giving away a Tesla, guys. Just hang on.
we're gonna talk to these guys a little bit more, but I wanted to know what's the one thing you would give an agent as far as a brand new agent? What would you tell that agent out of the gate? I think you've already said some of those things, but you've got somebody that's coming to you and say, I want to start this thing. And I know I've interviewed so many agents that had great credentials, they had great education, and I thought, oh, they're going to make it big, and then they fell flat. What's stopping them? What's stopping those agents that are not making it? We have too big of a turnover in real estate, guys.
Go ahead, Mike.
Uh, so for me, it's always been figure out why you're actually doing this,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't know a single agent that gets their license and says, well, that kind of sucks. I guess I'm going to give this a shot for 3 months and then go back to my 9 to 5. We'll give it a shot. Like nobody says that. People get their license, they're fired up, they're ready to change their life. People quit because they forgot why they got started.
Mhm.
And when you start looking at this, for me, this is like I take a bit of a dark approach to this. It's probably not the right thing to do, but like I said in my first year of real estate, like if I had a gun to my head and I had to make $100,000 this year, otherwise that trigger is going off, you would do what it takes to make $100,000. Why? Because the repercussions are so substantial that you will do whatever it takes.
Right.
But, when you look at this, for example, if you come from a university, if you fail a test, you get a big fat F, the repercussions are immediate. You have to go back and do that test. In real estate or entrepreneurship, if you don't do your calls that Kyle tells you to do today, nothing happens, or tomorrow, or the next week, or the next month. Until 6 months, you're broke and you have to quit because the repercussions are delayed. And so for me, I had to find out a big enough why, which was retiring my parents, which I've done, which is buying their dream cars, which I've done, and all these trips that I've taken them on. Like I needed to find a why where it was, if I don't achieve this, the repercussions impact me so much that I'm not willing to not achieve it.
Mm.
And that's where it goes back to, Kyle alluded to is like the work works, but you have to have a big enough reason to make the work work. Because if you just disappoint yourself, you're used to doing that every single day. When you tell yourself you're going to make a call today and you don't, you tell yourself you're going to launch your channel next week and you don't, you are used to disappointing yourself. So the way that we've done it with our group is say, we're going to go through this vision board mapping. We're going to identify your goals, but you're going to share that goal with the person that means the most to you today. So oftentimes it's like a father sharing that if he hits 100,000 by the end of the year, he's going to take his little daughters to Disney and he's going to tell them today that he's going to take them to Disney for Christmas. Well, on the days he doesn't feel like doing the stuff he knows he needs to do, he doesn't want to disappoint his daughters. He's okay with disappointing himself. He won't disappoint his loved ones. So we have to anchor this emotionally to give them a reminder of, again, like, why are you doing this? Because if you don't have a strong enough reason why, you'll never do it. And so that's where I take a bit more of an assertive approach to this and say, we need to figure out for you what makes you tick. Might not be a fancy car, might not be a fancy house, might be more time with your family. Everybody's got different size goals, and that's okay. But if you don't have a reason behind it, you're not going to do it. You're going to quit. You're going to fail, guaranteed.
I know, that's the truth. Kyle, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just share my two favorite apps because I know everybody always like wants to walk away from an event with like a really, really cool new app. So the first one, it's PHONE, phone. Phone. Number one app that you have to have on your phone and that you have to use. The amount of people who are scared of the freaking phone is the number one thing that holds people back. The analogy that I give is a coffee shop next door. A barista who won't make or I'm sorry, an agent who won't make phone calls is like a barista who won't make coffee. Like you cannot get a job at the coffee shop if you refuse to make coffee. You cannot get a job in real estate if you refuse to make phone calls. It is part of the business, and you need to use that thing. I was talking with one of my agents today. I was like, "Hey, man, you're a little off track. What's going on?" And then I dove into his Follow Up Boss account. He's made 72 dials in the last 90 days. 72 dials to only 25 people, and he has 623 people in his database. 600 of his people have not received a phone call in the last 90 days. That's why he's off track. It's clear as day. So if you're not willing to make phone calls, this is going to be a very, very difficult business for you. The second app is calendar. You have to live and die by that calendar. You have to put things in there. You have to put them in there in stone, and you have to respect them. Far too many people just kind of like the thing that a lot of people get in this industry for is freedom, which basically means like, I want to do what I want when I want. Let me know how that works out for you. Because I don't know very many people. Yeah. I don't know very many people who have been successful in this business is doing what they want whenever they feel like it and not making phone calls. Like it's not going to work for you. So you need to actually have some structure in your day. You need to plan. This is what time I show up. This is what time I leave. And this is what I do when I'm here. Like so wildly important to actually add some structure to your day and make sure that you respect the things that you're putting in there right? For us, we have family and religion. Those are like 1A and 1B. And then prospecting is number 2. Nothing gets to replace prospecting other than family and religion. Those are the only 2 things that can replace prospecting. What so many agents do is, even most have no calendar. If they have a calendar, maybe they throw some prospecting blocks in there, but they cover it up and replace it all the time with something stupid like, well, I got to go to this home inspection. I got to go pick up this lockbox. I got to go deliver some flyers. And they're replacing prospecting with things that are far lower on the priority list. So prospecting's got to be in there. It's got to be in there every day. I don't care if you have 1 deal under contract or 10 or 20, you still prospect every single day, and nothing replaces prospecting other than family and religion.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm doing this, guys. Can you see? I'm doing a giveaway. I
All
want to
right.
tell you about it. These guys are going to be with me in Miami at something called eXp Con. And so I'm going to give away to the first 5 people that come to us today. I'm giving them a VIP training ticket, full blown, to the best seats at the front of the building. And if you call us today and contact us today, I'm also paying for the flight. So it's a great time to really jack up your business, to maybe chart a new course. You'll be both trained by Mike and Kyle. So sign up at expcon.com. The winners are going to be announced next week, but you have to call us today. You have to contact us today to get the free flight. And I know people are going to be signing up, so I wanted to play a little bit about what you could expect to see at eXp Con. So watch this for a second.
eXp 2024 Miami Convention Center. Where you at?
We're at eXpCon 2024 in Miami.
eXp!
I believe this is a game changer for every agent here.
I love it.
The energy in this building is palatable. There's so many amazing people in here.
The connections you make here are truly going to change your life. I just recommend that people get here, get in the room, connect with people. The energy here is unlike any other conference I've ever been to.
eXpCon 2024 Day 1, let's go!
Welcome to eXpCon Miami 2024. If you're here, you're in the right room.
Everybody is friendly, it's a great atmosphere, good sponsors, and a lot to learn.
We are here to learn, to grow, to create networks.
eXpCon 2024 Day 2, here we go.
'24 was a little different than we expected, huh? When life happens, 90% is how you react to it.
The advantage of coming out here is simply for your network to grow.
So some of my favorite moments in this event is networking, meeting new agents,
and see how we can work together in the future. eXpCon Day 3, let's go!
eXp is where the pros go to grow.
Can't get in a better place than eXpCon 2024. 2023 was amazing, 22 is amazing, and it just gets better every year.
With eXp, I have gained so much knowledge coming to eXpCon.
eXpCon 2024 Miami Day 4, let's go, baby!
This was so awesome because it was the first time for all of the international eXp countries to be able to get together and really meet one another face to face. So I think that's going to cause even more collaboration.
It's amazing here in eXp. It gives you opportunity to grow your business.
In a setting like this, you learn from so many people of how you can really take that to the next level.
We are eXp.
نحن eXp. Jesteśmy eXp.
We are eXp.
Okay, this is mine, y'all. I want to absolutely tell you this is a great training event. I don't care what company you're with. This is happening in Miami on October the 20th through the 22nd. It's an $1,800 event. It is training par excellent. And I want to tell you to sign up at expcongiveaway.com, expcongiveaway.com. Guys, gentlemen, thank you so much for spending this time with us here in North Carolina. And remember, Mike Sherrard, you have to be a North Carolina State University fan to be a real Wolfpack, okay? You got that? And why in the world, Kyle, did you buy in Tennessee versus North Carolina? We need
This little place called Broadway in Nashville.
That's a beautiful place. I know that. I have a lot of fun going over there myself. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for sharing and being so open. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Take care.